hair.
A cunt hair?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a unit of measurement in a lot of places.
Is it?
Yeah.
You feel or you know? Because this is the first I've heard of it, and I'm a lesbian.
I've used it before.
For real?
Yeah, actually, you know where I think I heard it? I think I heard it on The Sopranos. I think Pauly Walnuts used it on The Sopranos. And that's where I picked it up.
Okay, that does sound like something you'd hear on The Sopranos.
Move it just a cunt hair.
Jeez, oh Pete's. What is this world coming to?
Me too. Hashtag me too.
We're recording. Look at that. We're going.
Surprise, everybody.
We have a new episode here. We took a week to regroup, and we're back stronger than ever.
Well, we're back.
Yay.
Welcome to the Glory Friends podcast.
Glory.
You want
to make a song?
Yeah, we should. We should write a song like It's Always Sunny. How Charlie used to write the songs. We need to write a song like that, like a theme song.
We have instruments in the basement.
Oh yeah.
Can you play guitar at all, Laura?
I can play guitar, not at all.
I don't know.
I cannot
at
play
all.
any instruments.
I can play drums. That's it.
We'll
I can also play oboe. Do you have one of those around?
No. Just play a beat, and then me and Alex will just freestyle over it.
That's bound to be great.
We'll just cipher it out.
And then you, dear listener, will be able to hear it every week. That's your luck.
An awfully hot coffee pot.
But it's not.
Did you see the Eminem freestyle about Trump?
I did. This is one time where you were asking me about a pop culture thing that I've seen. I did watch that. I thought it was great, but I also just kind of love the fact that like someone can be a badass in sweatpants now. Like that's just a thing, and I just think that says so much about where we are as a society that you can be like, whoa, that dude, and he's wearing sweatpants.
It's cool to be comfortable.
I guess so. I didn't know that. That's why I'm in a bustier.
I like with all this shit that was going on with Kid Rock, with like opening the Little Caesars Arena and everything. I like that when the Pistons opened their home opener, they had Eminem like at the beginning of the game, and I think Kid Rock was there too.
He got booed.
Yeah, they showed Eminem on the big screen, and everybody cheered. Then they're like, "Oh, Kid Rock's here too," and everybody fucking booed him.
I wish they had ICP there too, because they would have probably got cheered.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody yesterday. Oh, I went to a Halloween party with my girlfriend, and we were talking about one night we went to a bar, and like it was a karaoke night, and this guy was wearing an ICP hat, and he rapped an Eminem song for karaoke. And someone was like, "Oh, I thought Eminem and ICP didn't like each other." I'm like, "That's how bad Trump is. They're friends now."
He's unifying Eminem and ICP. I remember when I was in high school, I used to troll ICP message boards and just talk about how great Eminem was, and they used to fucking hate me.
ICP fans are weird, man.
I was not on the internet in high school, but ICP did exist at that time. They were early on in their careers, but like popular enough that everyone in the Detroit area knew them. And I only heard like one of their songs once, and yet we would sing it at school all the time. And it was just, this is all I know of ICP. Who's going chicken hunting? We's going chicken hunting.
That was our ringmaster.
We sung that in high school all the time. Little white girls in Clarkston walking down the hallway singing that song. Well, mostly because we found it highly amusing. We also liked to tell people that we knew them personally, which was not true, but we also knew that they were not so big that people wouldn't buy that.
I had friends that would like, when I was in high school, like they would, it was after high school, because like when people would go to Canada to drink, and they would go tell Canadian girls at bars that they were ICP. They're like, "Yeah, we're just not wearing our makeup." Like, I mean, you could just, because you can't tell what the fuck they look like.
Yeah.
Like if you saw them in real life, all right, that guy looks like he could be an ICP.
Yeah, totally.
Canada.
He looks like he wears clown makeup.
There's a little white behind his earlobe. He missed. That's a sign.
Inside, like he's just like little white speck inside of his ear.
Instead of like ICP, they just do a shitty job and look like a mime.
I wish ICP were mimes.
Then they would shut the fuck up, right?
All their albums just be silence.
Yeah. All you hear is like the hands touching the microphone.
How would you mime chicken hunting?
They're fans, though. They love them.
God, that would be a funny sketch. Just
insane mime.
yeah,
posse.
mime juggalo, a mime juggalo band.
That's like ICP's opening act. They're just mime rappers.
Mike is furiously taking notes right now, so this is going to come to fruition, you guys.
Mike takes this seriously.
He shouldn't.
Mike is going to be the reason why we have any kind of empire whatsoever. He's going to write down all the good ideas that we have and then force us to do them.
I like how you said empire.
This is an empire.
A few listeners would be nice.
Listen, we had 100 listens last week, okay?
That was mostly me. That's not true at all. I didn't even listen. I have listened to a couple episodes.
Bad. That's pretty decent.
Yeah,
That's
we're not bad.
I think the fact that it's on SoundCloud helps. We're getting inside baseball right now.
See
guys.
that I hate SoundCloud. If something's just on SoundCloud, I won't even fucking listen to it.
Yeah, but a lot of people do. A lot of people listen to SoundCloud for music. That's like their go-to.
Listeners, if you are checking out our podcast via SoundCloud, Ray says, go fuck yourselves.
You guys are fucking dorks.
Oh, man. I remember, like, we used to go to Canada all the time. And it was
Gay
always...
guys?
Back when I was straight.
Oh, okay.
And it was always the worst
So
time.
you did choose to be gay?
Yeah, it was definitely a choice.
We've been over this. That's how it works.
All right.
Yeah. I was like, no kids? Sure. I'll risk AIDS for that.
No dick? Yes.
I remember one time we were actually, I wasn't there. My buddies were telling me about it. They were leaving Windsor Music Cafe, and they were cutting through this alley to get back to their cars, and they were all drunk as fuck, obviously, and my one buddy saw a milk crate in the alley and grabbed it and threw it straight up in the air, and they just like kept walking, and then it came down and cracked my other buddy right in the head, and he was just gushing blood from the fucking milk crate, like just hitting him right in the forehead.
Why did he throw it up in the air and then everyone just walked under it?
Because they were drunk and they're dumb.
Gee.
I've
never been so drunk I forgot about gravity. That's worse than blackout drunk.
A friend of mine told me a story recently where she went out with a friend to a restaurant after they had been drinking. It was one that's open late. And he was very drunk. She was not drunk. And at one point, he just picked up a glass container of seasoning and just threw it at the window, and it shattered. Like, this is a restaurant where that would go noticed. And she was like, we need to get the fuck out of here. And they ran out. So drunk people like to throw things. That's something that I think is just a fact.
The show that me and Alex did a show where our friend Andy French was so drunk that he does not remember being there. And it was a bar in Warren, and they had like the old like style like takeout window, like where the kitchen, like you put food up and hit a bell and the waitress come and grab it. And Andy was taking like the caddy things on the table that would hold like the Keno cards and stuff and the pencils, and he was putting it in the takeout window and hitting the bell.
He's lucky a cook didn't kick his ass.
He would turn around with like just like such a sense of accomplishment on his face, like, yeah, I did that. When he got there,
good one, Andy.
When he got there, he sat down at the table that I was sitting at, and first thing he does, no hello, no nothing. He just sits down, grabs my bottle of water, and throws it over his shoulder.
Drunk people like to throw things.
Yeah.
That's going to be the name of the episode.
Well, it's an undisputable fact. I mean, we've come up with 3 examples, so fuck you, world. You cannot prove us wrong.
Drunk people throwing things.
Mm-hmm. It's just something that happens. It's a fact of life.
I don't know if I've kicked stuff.
Like when you were drunk?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever thrown anything.
I don't know. I can't think of...
I probably have, but...
I can't think of being destructive when I'm drunk. Like, I would always just come home and pass out, I think. One time, when I was in college, I guess, my roommate had his friends from back home in Jersey visiting, and my roommate was in a frat, but he really didn't. Like, he didn't care. He didn't pay dues. He didn't go to any meetings. He was just there to go to the parties, and they eventually kicked him out. But we left the frat, and we got lost because it was the first
like,
week.
You gotta rape somebody if you want to stay here.
It wasn't children, though, because we weren't at Penn State. But we just it was like my first week on campus, so we got lost going back to the dorm, and we just left a trail of destruction behind us. Like we were taking people's, it was around Halloween, so we were taking people's pumpkins off of their porches and throwing them and ripping signs off walls and
Fucking
like
dickheads.
yeah, it was.
Yep, we were being dickheads.
It was pretty bad. Like we ended up. I realized we went the wrong way, so then we came back the same way that we just went, and it was
you guys
just
were like, who did this?
yeah. It was just like, who would
there's a
do
mess
such a
down
thing?
here.
The people are outside looking at their pumpkins that they spent hours like carving, and we're like, "This is a travesty."
Can you believe this shit?
Yeah, no.
Have more respect for
I
yourselves.
thought Ann Arbor was supposed to be nice.
That's a facade, I can say, as someone who lives there.
Yeah, Ann Arbor after a football game is a fucking nightmare.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
Laura, you live there now. How fucking terrible is it?
Do you live close to the stadium though?
I live in such a place where it could deeply affect my life if I needed to go someplace at the same time as the heavy traffic flow. That has not happened yet. So I avoid that area like the plague because I have no interest in football whatsoever, which is why I moved to a college town that has an extremely well-known football team.
You went to one of the most famous college towns.
Yeah, well, how else am I supposed to be like, self-indulgently like
She did it in protest.
I go out and stand in front of the field, the field and hold up my sign in protest. No, I would never do that. But
Well, you're just leading by example. Like in politics, we need to go talk to the people across the aisle. You know, and you went to ground zero.
right, I'm like, who has a brain injury? Let's talk. Oh, all of
That
you.
doesn't work.
No.
What did you say?
I throw the ball far.
Oh boy. I was thinking, and this is not something that we have to do right now, but I'm just going to throw it out there, that if at any point you guys want to like quiz me on a pop culture thing that's popular that most people are aware of and see if I'm aware of it, or even just say one to me and I can tell you what I think it is, because chances are slim of any idea. And this is why I thought of this today, because I saw something on Facebook that said that and I don't even know if I'm saying this right, but it said something about the Cash Me Outside girl has a record contract.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yes.
okay, this is something that I have no idea, but this was my guess, is this is a young individual who, when she shops, insists on being rung up outside the store. Like, I cannot give you money inside the establishment. You have to cash me outside.
You have no idea who the Cash Me Outside girl is.
That's literally my guess.
Let's call it, does Laura know what's trending? Like,
yeah, you
Yeah,
could
yeah.
totally call it that.
I need to figure out how to get like how
Do
to
you
get.
want to know who the Cash Me Outside girl, or do you want to remain thinking she just buys things outside?
It honestly depends on if the audience would care, because if they wouldn't, then I don't want to waste their time. Like, that's literally, I don't know. Like, I just was like, okay.
You know
So
what? Oh man, I got to figure out how to get sound.
she
to
looked
record.
like a brat
Yeah.
from the picture.
Oh yeah, she's a piece of work.
So-
I got to figure out how to get sound to work, like to record while we're like to watch a video and have it
Oh,
record.
yes.
Because I would love to play the video of her on Dr. Phil and have you react to it.
That's where she's from. Like, she,
Oh, okay.
it was
That
an
can't be good.
episode of Dr. Phil where I can't control my kid.
Okay.
But she got so popular that people kept paying attention, and then you found out, well, the mom's a piece of shit. Like, that's why she's like this.
No.
oh no
Yeah.
way! The kid is fucked up because the
Yeah,
mom's fucked up.
She's a fucking
Wow,
also
that's
a
literally
piece of
how like
garbage.
genetics work.
But yeah, she
Nurture
told,
and nature.
she was saying, she was telling Dr. Phil and people in the audience they could go outside and fight her. But that's what the Cash Me Out, it's supposed to be catch me outside. You can go catch me out. But she said, you can go cash me outside.
I see.
When she said it like that. But
Okay.
yeah, she was challenging Dr. Phil
and
and
it's
audience
and it's
members to
hilarious. And it's hilarious because she's talking in pure slang, and no one understands what the hell she's saying. So the mom has to like translate.
Oh boy.
So the mom is like the ghetto translator kind of, Like it's so funny.
Here's the thing. Can I just
And
say
that's what
this?
she said, like when she said it, she goes, "You can cash me outside." And Dr. Phil looked befuddled, and the mom goes, "She means you can go fight her outside." That's what that means.
Oh my gosh.
I wish Dr. Phil would have been like, "Let's go." Like,
Sometimes I feel like maybe people aren't aware of this, but you don't have to give people like that your attention. And we as a society are doing a bad thing by rewarding that and by making people like that famous. It seems like the only way to really be organically famous on the internet is to be a terrible person. And I don't know what it is about like our instincts as people that we're like, yeah, that person's horrible. Let's elevate them to fame.
well, it's like whenever there's like a mass shooter or a serial killer or something, everyone's like, "Well, don't talk about it because that's what they wanted." I'm like, well, let's just start with these idiots. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. Like, I'm just like, yeah, that sounds horrible. And that's great that we're just milking that for all it's worth. For what? For our putrid enjoyment? I don't get it.
I don't know. I think it all started with like the 90s daytime talk shows. Like I think that's where it started, like Ricky Lake and all that stuff.
even before that, man, the 80s.
Yeah.
Fucking
Phil Donahue.
Yeah.
Oh, with his like club kids. Did you ever see that episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it started to get really bad though in the 90s. I mean, I can't remember the.
I kind of got into like a YouTube K-hole where I was watching like old Oprah Winfrey because I was actually listening to Tim Dillon's podcast and like when the Satanic Panic was happening and like they would have cults on and stuff, and I was watching like this one particular guy, I can't remember his name, but it was on the Oprah Winfrey show and Geraldo, and it was like some of the subject matter that they had on those shows that was so funny. Like
Sally Jesse Raphael.
Yeah.
She was the one that had like the, "Hey, I've got a gay crush on you." Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And the guy was so embarrassed and so upset that a gay man had a crush on him and brought him on national TV that he fucking murdered him.
Yeah.
And then I believe he got off basically on the defense of like, well, a gay guy embarrassed me on national TV, so of course I had to kill him.
Did that happen on Sally Jesse? It happened on Jenny Jones too.
Oh, maybe it was Jenny
Oh, you know what
Jones.
it was?
I'm
It
so
was Jenny
sorry if I
Jones.
besmirched you, woman
Yeah.
with the glasses.
It was
He's
Jenny
still that guy is in prison, but he's about to get out, I think.
It was on Jenny Jones, and Jeffrey Feiger ended up suing Jenny Jones.
Ah, yes.
And what?
Put the mic up to your
Put the
mouth.
mic up to my mouth.
You can do it.
That's why I don't talk that much.
Thank you for
Three-
fact checking that. I appreciate it.
3 kids from my high school got on Jerry Springer. Like they sent like a fake story that they were in a gay love triangle, and they lied about their age, obviously. And Jerry Springer never fact checked anything, so their story was compelling enough. So he put them on, and literally the entire school skipped that day to stay home and watch Jerry Springer. There was no one in school that day. Like they were saying that they were going to suspend people if they didn't come to school that day. Literally 90% of the school didn't show up. There was no way they were suspending everyone.
So
I mean, I'm not saying there's any way to turn us back from the eternal hell that we're spinning toward, but you don't have to like that stuff. Like, ask yourself, is this as lowest common denominator as it gets? And if yeah, maybe limit your diet of it. Like, I don't understand why people, like even Netflix now, like if you look at the stuff that's on there, so much of it, like under documentaries, is all just gross, heinous bullshit. Like women who kill, kids who rape. It's like, I don't want to watch any of this shit. Like, this is horrible. Like, behind bars, interrogations gone wrong. Like, it's all horrible shit. I don't want to watch any of that.
Mike, Google on your phone, or you can just. I want Laura to watch the Cash Me Outside girl right now.
No, I'm so sorry, listening audience. I'm so sorry about this. The one thing that I had in my mind, and it's like, I don't want to be prejudgmental about this person, but she looks mean just from her picture. She looked not like a nice kid, like a brat.
There were videos like of her, like people, like TMZ videos of people finding her like hanging out
And trying to fight her.
Yeah, just
God.
actually fighting her like
she was like, let's go.
Yeah,
this is her life now. She's just around every corner. She might need to
she's
fight
also
someone.
like, she's just like that in public. Like just
boy.
yelling at people and shit like that. It's just like,
And all these hoes laughing like so funny.
She's talking about the audience, that they're laughing at her.
the mom translating.
Yeah, this is gonna be just silence because nobody can hear that on the microphone. You
We
can't.
can talk over it.
The audience is a bunch of hoes. This has been established. How about that, you guys?
What I just said.
Catch her outside and she'll go outside and do what she has to do.
Do what she has to do.
She claims her 13-year-old is out of control.
This is all, but don't you see that this is all mouth? This is mouth.
All right. You know what? We're getting a low battery warning on this. I think that's literally the phone's way of trying to run away from this video.
I thought the mom's like, it's all mouth, like she's taking her up on the challenge.
Yeah.
Do
yeah.
people
like,
know?
Someone
when
please
I see that,
cash
My
her
daughter.
outside.
I'll fight my fucking
No,
daughter
she's
right
like,
now.
someone please cash her outside.
I don't know. To me, I'm like, that's exploitation. Like, we're exploiting those people.
Dr.
For
Phil,
what?
that's
Oh, for sure.
all he
He-
fucking
yeah,
does.
that's-
I mean,
Yeah, that's
I
all it is.
honestly,
Worst.
I think that he's fully culpable, and he's the one I would hold responsible because it's his show. But he clearly has a viewership, and people buy shit with his fat fucking face on it just because his face is on it. I mean, this is not.
Mad Laura.
He's not. Yeah, I mean, he's not a good person, and this
No,
is the
Dr.
thing.
Phil's a piece of
Listening
shit.
audience, this
Yeah,
is how
he
you know
sucks.
someone's not a good person when the people they expose you to are being exploited and are trashy. Like, that's just a really good sign that the person who's like, look at these people. Look how much better you are. That's
Look
really
at-
what this is all about. It's like,
Dr.
look,
Phil-
if
Dr.
you're not eating paper towel at the end of the day, you're doing okay. So
Look at-
why don't you
Doc-
watch the show where people actually do that and you can feel better about your horrible fucking
Yeah.
life? Because
Dr. Phil's like the Jane Goodall of poor people.
Oh, yeah. And here's the
at
thing
this
that makes me
piece of
furious
garbage.
about the show. He's basically from what I can tell, every one of Dr. Phil's shows is my child is out of control. That's just what his show is. And all I think is, and you never give them any good parenting advice. Ever.
No.
You fucking fat, exploitive piece of shit. Like, you never say anything helpful or anything positive. Like, you're just a fucking blowhard. And same thing with that other guy, Maury Povich. I'm not the father. It's just like, we've totally made that kind. Like,
That's
why is that
every
interesting
episode.
to watch? Like,
Well,
yeah,
that's
every
every
episode since
episode,
the
though.
90s. And I'm just like, why aren't we as a society smart enough to be like, fucking enough? This is gross. I don't want to watch this.
At least Jerry Springer brought like KKK members on to confront them, you know?
Jerry Springer, I don't know a lot about the guy, but it does seem like is a little bit smarter and slightly less gross in that he seems to be in on the joke. Like, this
Yeah.
is kind of like wrestling, but a talk show.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Wasn't he mayor of Cincinnati or something?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
bought a prostitute with a personal check
Oh, yeah.
for it.
He was like a lawyer for like a big case too, like back in the 60s, wasn't he? Yeah, I feel like he was like
The people versus the transvestites tricking men into fucking.
Something like that.
The people versus the surprise. I have a penis.
Oh, the 90s.
We're all gonna
Was it
fight in the
80s?
courtroom. The Roe v. Wade of. I don't know, something.
Well, thank you guys for enlightening me. I feel like I lost a couple brain cells.
well, now you're closer to us.
Yeah, I feel more like on your level.
I'm dumb like you guys.
No. I really, and that's the thing, is like, it's not like I think I'm so amazing and so pretentious. I just have a really low tolerance for like low level bullshit. Because the one thing you can never get back is time. Ever. That's the only commodity that once it's gone, you cannot reclaim it. Time goes and it's past. And so sometimes I think about that and I get a little bit freaked out because I'm like, holy shit. Like, I just spent 25 minutes watching like some stupid shit that was not important, where I could have been doing something like making myself a better person or doing something of substance or of quality or like calling my mom or whatever.
So it's not good if I lay in bed for 2 hours before I fall asleep watching fights on World Star.
What is World Star?
Oh, no.
No, I don't have enough battery.
Yeah,
No.
you don't know World Star Hip
World
Hop
Star
is
Hip Hop.
basically just a website of people just.
It's if Jerry
Recording
Springer
fights.
was a website.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it, even without much more than a bachelor's degree in psychology. That's not healthy.
No, did you
Probably
see?
not healthy.
Did you see the video? It was on World Star, I think, like last week or something. It was this guy. He's like driving a truck and he like parks it in a funeral home parking lot. And I guess there's a funeral going on when he does it. So the funeral home guy comes out and he's like bitching at him. And the truck driver's a black guy and the funeral home guy's a white guy. And he just starts yelling at him immediately to get the truck out of there. And the black guy's like, man, whatever. And the guy just like kept harassing him. So he started like recording it. And so the guy calmed down once he started recording it. And the black guy's like, you could have came over here and just asked me to move the truck. You didn't have to start yelling at me and shit. And like the guy, like they just kept going back and forth. And the white guy asked him, what's your name? And the guy goes, D's. He's like, D's what? D's nuts.
He walked right into that. To me, the world is already a horrible place. I don't want to watch people fight. I don't want to watch people degrade themselves. I don't know. I have a low tolerance for that now that I'm older and stuff. But here's the thing. If you like that stuff, that's fine. You can totally like that stuff. Just don't let it make you a bad person. Like I think that's where I get like, where you see people in real life now just being shitty and horrible. And I'm like, is this because all you do at home is say shit like this to people on the internet? So you think it's okay to talk like this to people?
Yeah, so you don't know what the fuck real life is anymore.
Yeah.
How to be a real person at all.
Speaking of which, I saw, it was either New York Times or NPR today. They were talking about Russia and Russia's involvement in our election. Not only was it done like cyber, like, the stuff they did on Facebook and all that shit, but they actually hired people in the United States to try to disrupt things. Like they hired personal trainers in New York City to train black activists for Black Lives Matter protests. And they would feed them messages about how they would probably need to protect themselves and like basically trying to stir up racial unrest and make things even worse than they already are here.
Like kind of like wind them up to be like to be more of a violent protest.
Yes,
yeah, to be
exactly right.
To be more defensive and ready to fight.
I'm like, that is some sickening shit, you guys. And yet we still have like this sick, gross administration that's like, whatever, Russia.
That's fake news.
Yeah, that's all fake, you guys. That's all made up. Oh my God. I'm just like, I don't know what, like nothing seems like real life anymore.
Well, the thing is like people, but I mean, people look at this last election and yeah, I mean, it's terrible for us because now we're stuck with, this person in office. But no one in our country wants to look back to like 1996 when we basically interfered with Russia's election. Like that's the reason why Yeltsin won was because of us. We went to Russia and we ran propaganda campaigns against the I forget his name, the guy that was running against him, but he was a communist. So naturally we had to destroy him. And that's how Yeltsin got in. Mm-hmm. And we bragged about it on the cover of Time magazine.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And but we always do that though.
Oh yeah, we do that everywhere.
I mean, if we like help with like a country's civil war, and then like, well, we're gonna help you establish a democracy. Like,
we'll help you establish a dictatorship.
Yeah,
right.
It's just like fucking. I don't know.
Really.
I'm not like that. I'm not like a super well versed in politics, but I do know that much.
To me, it just seems like the world is. I think in some respects there's a lot of good stuff happening, and that's when you see pushback. Like I do think we're seeing like trends toward gay people being more accepted, but you see the serious pushback of like all the shit that's happening with the administration and whatnot. But I also just feel like we need to not be horrible people. And right now, like being horrible is celebrated and okay, and I don't understand that. Like I don't understand how you can see Donald Trump and go, he's a cool guy. He's a good dude. I support him. Like, how can you not see him and be like, even if we share similar views, this is not a good person. Like, people can't tell the difference anymore. And that's just, I don't know. Like, to me, I'm like, where is reality? Like, how? So I guess that's another reason why I try to, like, not be on the internet and stuff as much. Because I'm like, I need, like, tangible things happening in my life. Like, I don't want to fight with someone on the internet on a comment thread and then find out that was a fucking Russian bot that I spent 40 minutes of my life fighting with about Hillary Clinton.
It usually is a bot, but
right.
The thing is, people, I think, they have a misconception of what a bot is. Like, a bot can be an automated thing, but it can also be an actual person who's there for the sole purpose of disrupting a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
and that happens a lot. That happens more than I think people realize.
I agree. I think most people, I would include my mother in this, in the last political election, if they engaged in any comment thread discussions with strangers, talk to someone from Russia, or we're talking to a bot, or both. I do think that's completely possible. So you literally spent your time trying to convince a not real person of beliefs that they don't care about at all because that's not their purpose. Like, we need to talk to real people in real life. I
My
think
mom gets tricked with that shit. Like, there was like I'll talk to her about like the national anthem protests, you know, and I'm trying to explain to her that it's not a big like people are mad about. Like, I don't understand how you can be mad about that. Like, I don't understand.
I agree. Yeah.
And so my mom posted this story. Like, there was a quarterback for the Raiders. He injured his back like in the first game of the season. And she posted this news story that she found, and she messaged me. She's like, she sent it to me. She's like, is this true? And the fucking headline was, black players deliberately break Derek Carr's back because he stood for the national anthem. My mom's like, is this true? And I'm like,
Breitbart Sports.
no.
Wow.
Fuck no, it's not true. I go, that's why you got to be careful. Because like my mom is old, and she's just like, well, this is an article.
Yeah.
This is real. Like, it's not
Yeah.
the same rules as like printing something in the paper.
No.
And also, though, I think like we grew up with the internet, you know, like I've been on the internet since I was, you know, I don't know, probably like a sophomore in high school. So that's like 97. So like at this point, we can figure out what's bullshit and what's not. Like our parents, they've probably only been on the internet for like 5 years, if that, you know? So like they're going to have a harder time discerning, especially like back then the internet was shit. Like it was terrible. It was easy to figure out if something was bullshit. Today, you can make like, I mean, Breitbart looks like a legitimate website. You know, like go to Breitbart, go to, you know, I don't know, the Washington Post.
What is Breitbart? Is that wasn't Steve Bannon?
Yeah, that's his.
That's
his thing. It's basically it's a news organization. The way Fox
they're
News
totally
is a news organization.
right wing, like completely like National Enquirer out there, but now they're being accepted, which is so great.
Yeah, but the thing is, like in the 90s, a Breitbart website would look awful.
Yeah,
like, you would be able to, you would know that it's
you'd
not
know right
a real
away
website.
that those are wingnut cuckoos that you shouldn't be listening to.
But today, you go look at the Breitbart website, and it looks really well put together. You know, it looks like, you know, if you go to the Washington Post's website or something. So. So you put someone on the internet who hasn't really been on the internet for a long time, and they don't really know that people are on here, not really, you know, they're just on there to bullshit. And then you see this like official looking website, then you're gonna believe some weird stories.
Here's the thing, though. I totally think you're right about older people, but Deanne, my sister, taught college at U of M. And she taught undergrad kids about like writing and critical thinking skills is something covered a lot. And she said, basically, freshmen in college have no idea how to tell credible from non-credible sources. And when she would name sources, they would be like, we don't know. Like she's used the Metro Times as an example. Like, what about the Metro Times? And they're
what's
like,
that fake shit?
we have no idea. No idea if that's something we can trust or not. So I think what we are now discovering right now is that the people who are in our age range are the only smart people left on the planet.
Well, I was gonna say, look, college freshmen. I mean, they have come up in a world where there is no investigative journalism.
Yeah, totally.
Where there are no articles being written in newspapers or newspaper websites where there are sources that you can check to see if it's a legit source.
Right. You just type it into Google,
all,
and whatever the first result is, that's the answer.
Yeah, everything's speculation.
Totally.
Nothing is actual. Like, no one's actually going out doing legwork and reporting on anything.
No.
Well, I will say if the website is like something news with a Z, it's probably fake.
Right.
I wish I could remember the name of the fucking, because it was just like the name of the site that my mom got that article from, because it was right at the bottom, and I'm like, I read the name, I'm like, that's 100% fake. Like,
How could it not be? Right.
It's like, like News
that kind
Today or something, or
that kind of shit is clearly having an impact. And I don't know. I think liberals are duped more often than they think they are. Like, I think a lot of liberals think they're so much smarter than the Trump supporters being duped by fake news. But I think there's a lot of shit going the other way as well that like liberals need to pay more attention to. Like fucking pay attention to your sources. Like everybody should.
And one thing that I think the right does get right about one thing that the right does get correct about the left.
There you go.
Is that the left is okay with the status quo.
Clearly.
You know, like as long as things are going smooth and they're going in the same direction and you know nothing's disrupting anything, we're going to go along with it. And I think that is the biggest reason why the left can't win anything anymore, because there's no real message.
That's true. That's very true.
They're also like, there's a lot of people on the left that are just becoming people on the right and just yelling their opinions at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
nothing like that. It's like, it's getting to the point where like, you're both the same.
Yeah.
And also the thing that people don't really realize
I'm a
is
snowflake now. You're more upset than I am.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
the biggest thing that I think people don't realize is there really is no left in our country anymore. It's center and right.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone supports war. If you are a true left progressive, you oppose war. That's always been the left's stance. And there is none of that anymore.
No.
So there really is at least no mainstream left in this country. So when they say, oh, it's the liberal media, no, it's not. It's the centrist media is what you're talking about.
You don't think anybody in mainstream opposes war?
Not that I, like, if I watch MSNBC and CNN and everybody's like, we got to go into North Korea and take care of this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely more warmongering now than there used to be. And there's definitely way less talk about like how illegitimate everything we ever did in Iraq is. You know, we basically are like, well, you know, and you talk to most Americans, they're like, well, you know, 9/11. It's like, holy shit, you actually think Iraq had anything to do with that? No, that's not the case at all. But, you know, and I think that's part of the problem is like the people who have nefarious purposes, like in leading this country, are well aware that Americans are super lazy about history, and that if they just say shit enough, that it will fucking become the truth, because what people remember becomes the truth. You know, it's just really, it's really unfortunate. And in some respects, I think a lot of people on the left are just exhausted. Like literally everywhere I turn, there's another thing to be just completely and totally mortified by that's happening. So it really, you do kind of shut down. You're like, what do I even have any control over at this point? Like, it's so exhausting. So I just write jokes about it.
Yeah. We're the truth tellers.
Right.
Listen to the glory, friends. We will crack this Russia code yet.
Nonstop comedy.
After 20 minutes of venting about politics.
You guys wanted to hear that, though.
We said some funny stuff. We made Laura watch the Cash Me Outside girl.
Yeah, you did.
It's funny. We went from Cash Me Outside to Russian hacking.
Life.
Here's the thing. If you guys want to, you can introduce pop culture things to me through this website. If you think that my reaction would be funny and or that the audience would be interested, the only thing I ask is that it does not involve penises or any bodily fluids.
Or
is that
ticks.
fair? Or ticks. Okay, yeah. Let's put ticks on the list. I like it.
That's what's going to end up being just like...
You're like, look at this tick.
Tricking Laura.
Look at this
into,
video of this guy with a tick on his dick.
Like, how soon can we make Laura quit this podcast?
That I still.
How are
sometimes-
you with... Are you weird about like videos where something bad happened, like an injury or something? Like, you don't... Because you don't like horror movies, like gore and stuff. Like...
No,
Like
not,
if someone, like a video of someone like skateboarding and they break their leg.
I don't know that I've ever watched somebody break a bone. I'm not sure that.
Oh, speaking of breaking
makes me
legs.
kinda wanna barf.
I was going to talk about the Gordon
Gordon
Hayward.
Hayward.
Who?
This
Oh,
basketball
God.
player,
Oh,
Gordon
God.
Hayward on the Boston Celtics, was opening night of the NBA.
It was like 2 minutes into the game or something like
When
that.
did this happen?
Tuesday?
Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he went
no.
up for an alley-oop and like missed the pass. Came down weird on one leg. Like they show it from different angles. Like there's one angle where like you don't see what happens to his leg, but like it was Boston versus Cleveland. So you'll see the Cleveland Cavaliers bench. They're like looking right at him. they all just stand up and run away.
They just went back into the dressing.
You can hear, like, it sounds like it's him
no.
hitting the floor. It's his leg cracking. Like,
It's
you can
like-
hear it.
Oh, no.
It's like it sounds like when
what
you
bone in his leg?
He broke his tibia and then dislocated his ankle. So his leg was twisted
down
and then his
here.
ankle was sideways.
Yeah, his ankle was completely out of the joint. Like it sounded like when you open a spaghetti jar or a spaghetti sauce jar for the first time.
And
Oh my God.
his lower part of his leg looked like you took like a piece of string cheese and like twisted it.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
You could see the twist. And then his ankle was just right straight to the right. His foot
So
was,
your goal is basically like, okay, the things that you mentioned, fine. What gross thing can we show you?
yeah, I'm just trying.
We're just trying to find that line. We're just trying to find
boundaries.
that. Yeah, we're trying to find that line.
Well, I appreciate that. You're like, we are the foulest human beings alive. So if you don't want to be scarred for life. Uh-oh.
I got it right here if you want to.
Okay. How long is it?
It's just a few seconds. Did you have videos?
It's the photo.
It's the photo.
Photos.
His
Yeah.
leg is in the wrong place.
Yeah, that's
It's so bad.
Oh, my dog broke her toe the other day, and I could
I've
hardly
seen
handle it.
Dude. I don't.
It's still not worse than that kid from Louisville a couple years ago.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah, that was terrible.
My brother once broke. What is this big bone in your thigh?
Femur.
Yeah,
Oh.
he broke his femur in half right before he went through puberty. He was a speed skater, and a kid hip checked him, and he hit the wall. And I wasn't there, but my mom said that the whole audience could hear
You're not
it.
supposed to check in speed skating.
I don't know if the kid did it on purpose, if it was an
Yeah.
accident. I wasn't there, so I'm not going to blame this kid. But nonetheless, my brother ended up in traction in the hospital, like as he's going through puberty. So,
Yeah, femur. That's
was
like
not
the
fun.
worst bone to break.
oof, it was a doozy. Yeah.
that's
Amy,
like
my girlfriend, like she has like a big scar on her leg. Like she was, like she has a twin niece and nephew. They're 4 now, but they were babies, and she was babysitting them, and she was holding them walking down the steps, and she lost her footing, and
man.
she's holding 2 kids, so she couldn't do anything to like brace herself,
Oh, it's horrible.
and like she broke her tibia like down near her ankle, and it didn't look bad. She said, like, but she knew something was like she couldn't put anything weight on it or anything. They took her to the emergency room, and the nurses were being like condescending to her because it didn't look broken. And she's like, it really fucking hurts really bad. And they're like, okay, like, relax, lady. You know, like, I know it's, you know, you hurt your foot or whatever, but. So then they put her in the X-ray, and like as soon as the nurse saw the first X-ray, she started being super nice to her.
Oh.
Because she saw how fucking bad it was, and she completely broke. Like she has metal rods in her fucking leg.
Good God.
Jeez. I when I was working for my uncle at his restaurant, I like sliced my finger open one day, and I had to go to the hospital to get stitches. And I was just like waiting in the waiting room, and like it was like you know how you go in the waiting room and then they call you back and put you like in a secondary waiting room.
Yeah.
I was like inside in like the secondary waiting room, and there was like a examination room,
That's an
like
old stand-up bit.
the
I
second.
got to go from the waiting room to another waiting room?
Whoa.
Just put me in that waiting room to start with. What's the deal with waiting rooms?
But there was like an
Do you think
exam.
that's anything? Is that anything?
There might, yeah,
No,
I think
I
you
would
got
go-
something.
I would
think
just
you
keep
got
going with
something.
that,
You should,
yeah.
you should go
Steal
work
it right
that
from
out.
Alex.
You should go work that out. There's like an examination room, like right in front of where I was sitting, and apparently there was a little girl in there who got mauled by a dog.
Oh, no.
And these 2 doctors come walking up to each other, and the one's about to go in there, and the one I guess like got her situated, and he was telling him all the like info he needed, and he was getting ready to go in there. And the one that was getting ready to go in, he goes, so it would probably be a bad thing if I went in there and went.
The doctor said that?
I would believe that because doctors, in my experience, are assholes. Nurses,
Yeah.
on the other hand, tend to be really nice. So I'm sad to hear that Amy got a bad nurse. My mom's a nurse, so I'm a little biased.
Yeah.
But my mom is
No,
also like
nurses
the
usually
nicest
are.
lady.
I remember when I had my cancer surgeries, like all the nurses were really nice.
Yeah, the nurses are really the people who know what the fuck is going on and make sure you get the shit that you need. Like the doctors just like waltz in and like write a little thing on their chart and leave. Like
Yeah.
it's the nurses who are really doing the dirty work.
Yeah.
Hats off to nurses. This episode brought to you by nurses. They've paid us to say all these nice things about them because they know that they have a bad reputation. They don't really. Nurses are great. Be nice to nurses because they could inject your IV with medication and kill you if you're not. So it's probably a good idea to be nice to your nurse. It's not her fault that your meal sucks. She had nothing to do with that. Nurses, back to you.
Ask your mom's a nurse. I want you to ask her, because I saw this on Law and Order, and I didn't think it was true, but there was like this male nurse that was killing people, and all he had to do was he was just like you said, like putting medication in an IV. He was just doing it with air.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That'll kill you?
Oh yeah.
That'll give you a stroke.
Yeah.
Damn, I
if you
didn't
put
know
an air bubble into like an IV line, you can totally kill somebody.
Yeah, that'll give you
Wow.
a stroke.
Yep. Nurses have enormous amounts of power in that regard. There have been more than one case. In fact, you can probably find a Netflix shop of documentary horror, like nurses who kill. But yeah, that's.
If I was a nurse and like I was having a difficult patient, I would just whisper in their ear, "I can kill you with air."
Yeah, for real.
Shut the fuck up.
I can breathe into your IV and you will.
So, what did you want me to ask my mom if she's ever killed a patient? Because
No, I just want to know if that was true. But you guys
Ray just
confirmed it.
wants to know the best way to kill somebody.
I'm like, hey, you guys know about science? Is this thing true? All right, well, we can just cut it now.
all right, we're done.